as I mentioned there in my previous post-fight review of the Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor fight, I actually think this performance by Teofimo Lopez against Josh Taylor is actually more impressive than his performance against Lomachenko. Now, the reason why I think that, so just to put it into context, this is probably the best performance of Teofimo Lopez's career. Now, the reason why I believe that is because if you look at the context of what was going on in between that fight, a lot of people, obviously Lomachenko was a smaller guy that was moving up in weight to fight Teofimo Lopez. So from that perspective, obviously Teofimo Lopez obviously had an advantage over him. On top of that, Lomachenko actually had shoulder surgery, so he wasn't at his absolute best physically. He had some niggles as well, and on top of that, if you look at the actual fight, it was quite if you look at it from the perspective of the fight, the first 6 rounds, Teofimo Lopez absolutely, he definitely won them rounds against Lomachenko, but Lomachenko came very strong at the end of the fight. Well, with this fight with Josh Taylor was the bigger man, and Teofimo Lopez was the one moving up, so he was going up there against the bigger man. On top of that, he was fighting a Josh Taylor that was he didn't have any injuries, and he said himself that he had one of the best training camps of his career. So he was in a position where he did actually have one of the best training camps of his career. He wasn't coming off an injury. And on top of that, if you look at the actual fight itself, Josh Taylor won the first 3-4 rounds. But then after that, it was literally the takeover. Teofimo Lopez literally dominated the rest of the fight. So Teofimo Lopez actually finished very strong, and he was on the verge of stopping Josh Taylor towards the 12th and 11th round. So from that perspective, Teofimo Lopez's performance, that's why I believe Teofimo Lopez's performance against Josh Taylor was more impressive than his that win was more impressive than his win against Lomachenko. You can actually argue that his win against Josh Taylor was actually also more decisive, while the win against Lomachenko, even though it was clear that Teofimo Lopez won the fight, it was more close. There was more swing rounds, and I would actually say I think the Teofimo Lopez Josh Taylor fight was more exciting as well. It was more of a spectacle to watch, while the Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko fight was more of a chess match. It did have its exciting moments, and they were letting their hands go, but mainly it was mainly a chess match, while the fight with Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor was more exciting. So tell me what you think below. What performance do you think is better? Do you think it's the best performance of Teofimo Lopez's career, or do you think his performance against Lomachenko was better? Tell me what you think below, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace.